All right, so there's been some stuff made about Big Dan Miragliotta and MVP. Now, back up a second here. Big Dan was reffing MVP over the weekend. They fought out in Ireland, Bellator. Something happens in the fight, and Dan warned both guys. Dan warns MVP and his opponent, knock it off. Sportsmanship issue. They were doing, I can't remember what happened. Flipped each other off, or they FU'd each other. Something happens, Dan says, knock it off. A few seconds later, MVP's doing it again, and Big Dan said, nah, that's it, I already warned you. Takes a point away. A few seconds after that, MVP jumps up in the air, flying knee, ends the fight, no controversy. Somewhere immediately following the fight, Dan says something that isn't nice about MVP. Not to him, but about him, and he's standing right there. 1 second after that, Dan says, I'm sorry, I should not have said that. Okay, great. Fast forward, Dan then goes out publicly and says, hey, this is what I did. I'm sorry, it was wrong. I'm not going to officiate this guy again. Here's how we're going to solve this problem, okay? Taking myself out of the equation in the future. All right, well, I thought a little bit more was made of this than was fairly done. So let's make sure we look at this in timeline, because the timeline matters. Referee's job, follow the unified rules, follow his interpretation of those rules, fighter safety at all times. All of that was done. The fight was called straight. All of that was done. The bell rang. Now, a fighter's obligation as a licensed athlete changes the second that bell rings. So does the referee's. This wasn't a wonderful thing. There's a reason Dan said, I'm sorry, right? It wasn't a nice thing that he did. But that apology, by the way, which was to all of us, was to me. I was a viewer. I watched. Dan gave an apology. I heard it. We accept his apology, right? This is done. So I do think that's a relevant thing, because I'm a little surprised that this story keeps going. Somebody who's got a human element, by the way, after the fight, by the way, that they called exactly the way a fight is supposed to be called, said something that was unkind, apologized for. What more do you want? What more do you possibly do as a human being? And he was in human being mode. The bell had rang. What more do you do than if you misspeak to come back and go, I apologize? Seemed almost like a perfect solution to me.